What does that say?
Love and care for the best mother ever.
Oh, I love you, sweet girl.
You have to put it in your pocket.
Sorry. Ah, I hit my leg. These gloves. Our usual gloves are soaking wet because John went out in the rain. So I had to use these while I still wait for my own gloves. Welcome back to Jackie's Motor Garage. I'm going to talk about something that's been on my mind for a little while. And when you hear this topic, you might think, oh, this doesn't apply to me. Why do I need to hear about this? But I think that no matter who you are, that this affects you in one way or another. Because whether or not you know it, you know someone who has been affected by this. And I think it's an important thing that needs to be discussed more often. There's definitely a stigma around this that needs to be broken down. And I'm going to be practicing on the Vulcan while I talk about this, so that will be a good time. For me, I'm just getting in some more seat time. See if I can do a wheelie over that ball. Just kidding. Thanks, bud. So it's been really neat to watch my viewers grow, and with the subscribers, and just kind of seeing who is watching my videos. I love it. I love all the support. Thank you so much for all of that. So today I was going to talk about something that is important to me, just because I've dealt with this, and I feel like there needs to be more discussion about this. This needs to be more out in the open than it already is. So today I'm going to be talking about postpartum depression and motorcycles. As most of you know, I have 6 kids. Half of those pregnancies have been smooth sailing for the most part. I mean, as smooth as a pregnancy can be when you're a young mother. And half of those have resulted in postpartum depression of some variation. I want to make sure that I do this subject justice because it's important. One of the reasons why I started riding motorcycles is because I had that feeling of who am I anymore, and a feeling that I needed an outlet of some sort. And this is an outlet that gives me some freedom, something that I have no choice but to do it on my own without any of the kids. Sometimes John will come with me, but for the most part it's something that I can do completely on my own, and I can get a break from the day-to-day chaos. It's not always chaos, but from just the day-to-day grind, kind of discover who I am again. So the reason why I feel like this is an important topic is because this postpartum depression affects about 1 in every 9 or 10 women. And that's just the women that have come forward and realized what they're dealing with, because when I first dealt with this, I had no idea. This was with baby number 4. I had him. He was kind of a traumatic birth. I went into labor. He ended up facing the wrong way, and so that resulted in an unplanned C-section. I wasn't mentally prepared for that. Everything else went very smooth, but I wasn't really prepared for that mentally. And then shortly after I had him, about 2 months after I had him, I injured my knee doing the dumbest thing. I don't know even how this happened, but I was sitting down to nurse him, and something in my knee went wrong, and it was locked up. I couldn't move it. It was excruciating pain. And after going to the emergency room, an ambulance had to come get me because I couldn't walk, I couldn't move. The pain was just so terrible. They couldn't tell me anything. They sent me home without any answers. Then I went and got some imaging done on my knee. Turns out I had a torn meniscus and it had flipped out of place, so it had locked my knee up completely. Long story short, I couldn't walk for about 3 months. So imagine me. I just had baby number 4, so I had 3 other little babies at home, and I am unable to walk. I'm on crutches for 3 months. And that resulted in some depression on my part. And I had heard of postpartum depression, but there was still a stigma kind of surrounding this, like, oh, this is, I mean, you have that means you want to hurt your baby, which sometimes that is what it means, but in my case it wasn't like that. It was I'm feeling sad all the time, inadequate, I don't feel like a good mother, I can't do anything because I'm limited in my mobility. So I had some situational postpartum depression. It was so hard. I didn't know what I was going through. I didn't know that that's what it was. I just thought, oh, this is how people feel, I guess. People feel crappy all the time. It wasn't until I realized that I didn't have to feel like that I felt like there was some kind of hope. Once I realized that this isn't normal and that this could change, it was, once I realized that, it was like a burden was lifted. I felt like there was some kind of hope for me and this baby and my family. So that was the first time I dealt with postpartum depression. The second time that I dealt with it was after baby number 5. It hits people differently. The symptoms hit you differently, the timing, how long your symptoms last, how intense they are. It's different for every single person. And so for me, it doesn't hit right away. It takes a couple of months. And then these feelings start to creep up on me. I'm not fit to be a mother. The kids would be better off without me. Those kinds of things. There were days when I had it the second time where I didn't want to get out of bed. I wanted to sit there and I wanted to lay there and cry. And I didn't have the strength to pull myself out of that. And poor John didn't know what to do. This is a new thing for both of us. I mean, we're still young. There's not a lot of talk about the subject, and so we really didn't know what to do. John tried his best, and he would encourage me to get out and to go do stuff and to call friends or go mountain biking with him, but unfortunately that's not what I needed. And I needed more than that, but we didn't know. We were young and we didn't know. I was a little more aware of the symptoms my second time around, so I was able to realize what was happening. But still, it doesn't make it any easier. It doesn't make it any less crazy to deal with or easier to get through or over. And now here I am again with a little baby a couple months after he's born, and I feel those same things creeping up again. For me, it manifests as depression, anxiety, a little bit of OCD, and rage. There are many ways that this affects women, and those are the ways that I've seen that it affects me. And when I'm in the middle of feeling all of these feelings, I recognize it, but I don't feel like I can pull myself out of it. I physically just cannot flip a switch and think, okay, well, I just need to, you know, change this and then I'll feel better, or change what I'm thinking of, or, you know, how I'm feeling. But it doesn't work like that. When I'm in the thick of it, that's all I'm dealing with right then. It's total, it consumes my entire being. So I found that riding around, even though this isn't a cure for anything, but riding around on the motorcycle, bettering my skills and getting this freedom is amazing for me. It helps me clear my head. And this isn't, like I said, this doesn't fix anything or everything. This isn't going to take it away. But this helps me feel a little bit normal, and more normal than I have been feeling. And like people say, this is throttle therapy for me. And I'm not an expert on this. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you what you're gonna need for yourself, or how to fix how you're feeling, or if you have a wife or a mother, girlfriend, friend, anybody who's feeling like this. I don't have all the answers for you. This is just a completely personal thing that you're gonna have to figure out, and it takes time, and it's hard to ask for help. But that's the first step, is realizing that you're going through this, and realizing that you don't have to feel like this. And then asking for help, and then finding some kind of outlet on top of getting help. Finding an outlet that helps has been awesome. At least it has been for me. So that is part of the reason why I ride, and that is part of the reason why I thought it was neat to start this journey on the motorcycle and documenting it. And if you're wondering, well, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm not a woman, or I'm not having babies, or I've never dealt with this. Then if you know someone, if you know a woman who pregnant, has had kids, or is going to have kids in the future, reach out to them. Be someone that they can rely on, and that they know that they can count on you. The simplest things help a lot, because one of the factors that makes someone more susceptible to this is not having a good support system, not having someone that they can turn to. So be that support for someone. Bringing a new mother a meal, call her up, truly ask her how she's doing, not just the surface stuff of, oh yeah, I'm fine. Because trust me, as someone who's gone through this, it is so easy to say, yeah, I'm fine, but really you're not. And if you are a woman who thinks that you might be dealing with this kind of stuff, please, please, please go get help, because you don't have to feel like this. Go talk to a friend, go talk to a doctor. Some of the factors that make you at a higher risk for this is if you have a family history of depression, if you had a traumatic delivery or pregnancy, if you don't have a good support system, if you're a mom of multiples, twins, triplets, if you have a preterm labor. There you can look up pretty easily the risk factors, the symptoms, and even a test online to see how you fall on a scale, to see if you are suffering from this or not. I mean, because there are quote-unquote baby blues, and I hate that saying, because I feel like women think, oh, well, I just have baby blues, it's just that. But no, sometimes it's a lot more than that. And so for me, I had 2 traumatic births, my last one being the most traumatic. If you haven't seen John's videos on that, he goes into it a little bit, but I actually almost died having our last baby. He was overdue. First of all, I usually get epidurals because childbirth is painful. But first my epidural didn't work, and we thought that was going to be the worst of it, and then I had the baby, and then I had excruciating pain as the doctor was still working on me, and come to find out I had an inverted uterus, which almost made me bleed out. I was hemorrhaging, bleeding a ton. They had to rush me back to the OR. At that point, John is freaking out because he knows what's going on, and he doesn't know if he's ever going to see me alive again. I don't know if I'm going to see him alive again. I don't know if I'm going to be able to be there for my kids. I don't know if I'm going to make it out of this. But they wheel me into the OR. Sorry. It's still fresh and painful. Anyways, I have to hand over my... Oh gosh. Sorry. I have to hand over my brand new baby that I just had, not knowing if I'm going to see him again, or any of my other kids, or John. They wheel me into the OR so they can work on me. They put me under, intubate me, and the next thing I know, I'm being wheeled back into the room with John. It's just thinking of how grateful I am to be waking up in that moment, and that everything was okay. And that was the number one scariest thing of my entire life. Just facing death and not knowing if you were gonna wake up. Not knowing if you were gonna be there for your loved ones, to see my kids grow up. So that traumatic experience has kind of done a number on me. It's those feelings kind of come up every once in a while. It's kind of caused some I don't know if it would be PTSD, but definitely dealing with some postpartum depression things. But just, you know, dealing with that kind of thing, and then just the craziness of motherhood. And, you know, once you have a baby, people expect you to be completely fine. They think that you're gonna just jump up the next day and be able to take care of that little baby, and if you have other kids, be able to take care of them, no problem. I mean, you did it. You're a strong woman. You just had a baby. So the hard part's over, right? But that's not necessarily the case. I mean, I feel like the battle's just beginning after you get home from the hospital. It takes time to feel normal again, because you're just starting this routine with a newborn baby where you get little to no sleep. Your house is probably a mess, because mine was and still is. You're trying to figure out how to take care of yourself, for you to be okay, to keep this little baby alive, to maintain your house again, make dinners, take care of all that kind of stuff. After just doing probably the hardest thing that you've ever had to do in your entire life. Women are freaking rock stars. So if you have a wife, please make sure she's okay. If you have a friend, sister, whoever, please check on them. Make sure that they're okay. Reach out. Help in any way that you can. Because this affects so many women. And this isn't something that you can look at someone and see, oh yeah, they're suffering from this, I can tell. No, you can't tell, because this is an illness that is internal. Myself, I can count several women, friends of mine, family members, acquaintances that I know have dealt with this that you never would have guessed. It is still a very hard thing to deal with, a very hard thing to go through. If you ever feel like you might do something that you're gonna regret, or you don't feel in control, reach out to me at least, because I will listen to you and empathize with you. Don't feel like, well, she doesn't care, she doesn't know me, because I do care. I've been there. Thank you for joining me on this super emotional journey around the neighborhood while I practice on the Vulcan. I feel like I'm getting better. I feel like shifting was a lot easier. I feel like my turns are a lot smoother. Starting was a lot easier. So I can see this progression, and it makes me really excited. Oh my gosh. Okay, I take it all back. I'm not getting better. Just kidding. I know I am. Everyone has those bumps. If you're enjoying my channel, enjoying my journey, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment below. I love hearing from all of you guys. Thank you for your support, and I will catch you on the next one.